So it's been a few days. I totally wrecked my human the other day. Was skating, got a little carried away, busted my knees, both of them. Kind of hit my face a little bit. You can't really see that one. And I think this is probably like the most damage. My hand hurt more than my knee, I think. And it's probably because of how I had my hand angled. I went and got my wrist checked out yesterday just in case. I am confident I did not break anything because I am 42 years old and I've never broken anything in my life. And I've talked about that on here before. My cousin and I had this conversation a while back, and he said he always heard that if you haven't broken any bones in your lifetime, it's because your energy is being utilized elsewhere. You know, like all this emotional healing work that I've been navigating my way through this past couple years. Anyway, so yeah, there's that. I was really miffed. So I talked the other day about how I got my 21 miles in a week ago Saturday, right? And felt really good that I finally got that time in. Because I've been wanting to do it for a couple months, and then just randomly I was out there skating, and then I just wasn't in the mood to quit, and then I just kept not wanting to quit. It's like, all right, it's going to be another 21 mile day. No big deal. And I handled it. But around mile 16 and a half, my hands were like swelling, and to the point where I could not stand the feel of the wrist guards on my hands anymore, and I had to take them off. And then I was like, well, shit, I'm going back to the car anyway. Went ahead and took the knee pads off as well. All last week I skated without any pads on after I had taken them off during the 21 miles, right? Even then, I got most of the miles in. It was 16 and a half before I just absolutely could not stand the sensation of the wrist guard touching my hand. And then it was just downhill from there. But then it was like, I told the doctor yesterday, I said, it was vanity. I said, because I have these awesome tan lines from wearing my knee pads all the time. And here lately, it's like even most of the summer, I've worn like the capri pant leggings. So my tan lines are ridiculous. So I figured, since I handled the last of my 21 miles without any pads on, maybe I could balance out my leg color a little bit better. And so last week I didn't skate with pads on at all. And it was fine most of the week. Did probably manifest it because I thought about it every single time. It's like, am I gonna wear the pads this time? It's like, nope. And it's like, all right. And there's always that thought in the back of my mind that it's gonna hurt when it happens. So I kind of think I manifested it for the sake of really, how bad did this hurt and how bad do I not want to do that again, kind of a thing. But yeah, last week I was a bit obsessive with skating. I did my 21 miles on Saturday, and that counted for the week before. There was one day I did like 9 miles. I think it was on Sunday. Did 21 miles Saturday and then another 9 on Sunday. And I was going to go for 11 that day. But then, what happened that day? I don't even remember what happened that day. It was, I think, something with my back started cramping up. And I had this brief thought of, I know I've been dehydrated the past couple of days when I've been skating. Is this like maybe some kind of like kidney aggravation or something? Like I just pissed off my whole system and, so now I'm getting like sharp back pains. It's like, maybe I should go ahead and just call it a day. So I did. And again, it was fine. I did 7 miles, I think. I don't remember if I did Monday or Tuesday. I did take a couple days off in there, but otherwise I did like 3 days where I had 7 miles in. And when I don't think, I don't know, I did 19 miles on Saturday this past week when I wrecked myself. And the big thing was, I think I had 49 miles after I called it quits that day, for the week. And, you know, I was trying real hard to go another 21 miles this past Saturday. And I think that was the big thing. Like, I hit that point, I think I hit it a lot sooner where, like, my hands were swelling. And I just kind of blew it off. I did go and, you know, I did stop for water breaks and had my Gatorade with me and all that stuff. But yeah, I did stop. I did hydrate. But I was still kind of swelling. And I just kept wanting to go, right? So I kept going. And at one point, I had the thought come to mind of, what is it that I have this aversion to from, like, okay, I've talked about how my normal cutoffs are 4, 7, 11, and 14. It's like, but then once I hit 14, it's like, well, I'm going this far, might as well go to 21. It's like, why is there no further break down in that span of miles? Like, why is it 14 or 21? Like, the next jump is a whole 7 more. Why? And I didn't have an answer for that, but I was just trying real hard to push to 21. And then it was getting kind of dark, and I got distracted with the trees, I guess. I don't know. And I got my my wheels locked together on both my 2 skates, and down I went. And it was really frustrating, because it's like, I knew it was gonna hurt. Absolutely. And yet I was trying to avoid landing on my face. I did not completely avoid that, but I avoided it enough that you really can't tell. Like, there's like 3 little dots that got kind of skinned up. I thought there was going to be a bruise or something, but I haven't bruised anywhere, honestly. So I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, I hit my left knee first, then hit my right knee, and then hit my right wrist, and then hit my left wrist, or left hand and wrist. And, like, I didn't get anything over here. All the rest of my appendages, left knee got damaged, right knee got damaged, right hand got damaged, and face barely got a couple little dots. Which is a good thing. I did knock my sunglasses off of my head. Since it was getting dark, I just had them shoved up here. But yeah, go me. But I hit 19, and I thought, okay, I was already at 19. I was like, all right, 4 more laps, right? I've talked about my path around here. That gets, it ends up being a half mile. So I take like 2 of these big laps, and it's the whole mile, right? So once I figured that out, it took some time, because I've been playing with my laps for a while, since I've been doing this, like, 2 years now. Yeah, so I've been kind of playing with it, figured that out, and so I was starting the final 4 laps, right? And I think I got like 1/10 of a mile, and then I locked my wheels, and then I went down. And so then as I was scraping myself off the ground and trying to figure out how much damage I did, I was just kind of thinking, maybe I'll just call it. So I called it at 19. So it's not this big horrible thing. The world didn't come to an end or anything because I didn't make it to 21. Everything was fine except for I'm a little banged up. But yeah, good times. And honestly, okay, so this one is the worst. And there's no bruise. That's what I was talking to the doctor about yesterday. It's like, I feel like that should be a bruise in there, and you can't see a bruise. So, yeah, I told him every single time I have ever been to the doctor for anything, any kind of injury like this, I said, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a contusion. And then that one other time, it's going to be like a sprain or a strain. It's not, they just haven't broke stuff. And it's not that I haven't had a few opportunities, but it's just, yeah, especially like my ankles. I feel like when I'm walking, every now and then it's like my ankle just gives out in a mid-step. It's like, why haven't I done more damage when that's the case? Because it's just walking along. Okay, I don't know. But I don't, so yeah, but it has absolutely been driving me nuts that I can't skate now. And then it made me realize that I was kind of getting a little obsessive about it. And I think when I started back in 2023, it wasn't quite addiction level drive to do it. And I was, wasn't in great shape. Granted, that was like the time frame that I ended up losing like 50 pounds. Some of which I have unfortunately found back, which is probably part of where that addiction came in at this past week. But it's like, okay, so my grandfather died in December. And then it got really, really cold. And I think just in general, I prefer not to skate if it's below freezing out. Just for good measure, Make sure I don't freeze my lungs or whatever. I don't know. So I usually try to have like 30-degree minimum on there. But I'm not above skating that cold. It just kind of sucks. But then, yeah, so then it got really cold, and then I don't know what else happened, and then my dad ended up having the strokes, and so it's like, there's just been a lot of time where I haven't been able to do it, right? So it was getting on my nerves, especially as I started realizing that I was like doing more of the stress eating, and I think, okay, from what I was on the scale yesterday, I think it was about 15 pounds up from where like my best was when I was tracking it regularly while I was skating all the time, which is the other thing I've been using. Okay, with my dog walking app, I use this Wooftrax thing, and it like, it tracks your miles, and then like every little bit donates a little bit to a charity of your choice, right? So I have the local animal shelter that is set up to receive whatever that is, and since I was walking all the time, I mean, it's doing pretty good, I guess. I don't know how often they made donations or, by any means. I know none of those details. What I do know is there for a big span of time, I was walking the dogs a lot. And somewhere along the line, I think back in the winter or spring, the app randomly like lost all my stuff. And it was really frustrating. And it was like, I think I wanted to say I was at like level 23 or 24, and it took me back to like level 10 or something, and I was miffed. And I did reach out to the people and the developers or whatever of the app, and it took a long time before they got back to me. And I don't remember, I think there was something else that came up that they eventually were like reaching out about, and then I don't know. Anyway, they did finally reach out about it and apologize for losing her, for my stuff disappearing, and suggested I log out and log back in, which I did, and then it's like most of it was gone. So they were very sorry to hear that, and they went ahead and said they were going to make a donation to my selected charity and all that stuff, and make note of the issue and hopefully get it resolved. But then, of course, I started, since that app wasn't, like, the issue that I was having with it, like, in real time, was it would be useful to track the miles or whatever until I ended the workout. As soon as I ended the workout, it went to error loading feed or something, or error loading workouts, or however that thing is, and then I couldn't see how far we went. So it's like, if I was not paying close attention when I hit end to see where I was at like 3/4 of a mile or whatever, it's like it would just go away. And it was like several months of that, so I stopped using the app, or several weeks anyway. So I stopped using the app, and I did reach out to them, and I started using my other app. Which complicated things, because the other app was the one that I was using exclusively for skating, and it was kind of nice to have my walking in one place and skating in another place, especially because then I could refer back to like my skating app and know that that was just skating miles, and then once I started using that for dog walking, it's like, now I don't know how much I've actually skated this year, which I have to, math it together and all that fun stuff to break it down and all that, but still. I've only recently stopped using it for dog walking because of the other one being back up. A little bit of distrust there for a little while. So yeah. But I'm working on, and now I gotta see, and okay, so the other thing, there's like this WeightWar app, and I was keeping track of all my dog walking time, the skating time, the, when I was going to the blood center, that was getting noted on there, but mainly because when I was going to the blood center, of course, you have to do a weigh-in, and so, like, a lot of times, that was the scale that I was using to figure anything out about, like, where I stood on, like, the whole weight loss thing, or weight gain, and it's always disappointing, because you have to eat before you go to donate platelets, and that, adds a little push to the numbers. It's just a little frustrating, but, yeah. To be honest, there's been a lot of cookies here lately, and yeah, that's not been helpful. But my mom found like some place where she likes ordering cookies through now, and it's like, why do you keep doing it? Stop it. And I think part of it is intentionally that piece of, because they're there, then you eat them because they're there, and that's kind of one of those ways that kind of pulls you back into you feel dense and heavy and bled, and then then they have access to your energy more, and so yeah, so I think that's part of why she's been doing that so much, but it is what it is, and it is annoying. But like, I've had a lot of messages come through recently about having boundaries with myself. I pulled that Sacred Boundaries card from the Animal Apothecary deck like 3 times last week. And it wasn't, I'm wanting to say it wasn't until after I fell that I really registered part of what it was talking about, and I was like, oh, I was talking about this part and I was doing it anyway. Oops. Like setting boundaries with yourself. So like, you don't need the bag of chips. You don't have to eat the bag of chips. Just because you're sitting there and the bag of chips are there, yeah, that kind of stuff. You know, it was a lot the past couple weeks. There's just been a lot going on with all the family stuff, the move, my brother's move, and all that. So yeah. So I had a silly little thing happen today. Okay, so talked about 819 following me around a lot, and so I had to take my mom to some kind of surgery. She had like a graft in her mouth. They took a piece of the roof of her mouth to put it down in her gums, and something weird. Sounds really miserable, and thank God it's not me, but one of those things. So I got to drive for that excursion, right? So my dad was in the car too, and you know, he likes to throw in the smart ass remarks about, oh well, I wouldn't go that way, and it's like, well, I'm going the way the GPS told me, because you know, those times where you know the way so you don't check, it's like the GPS will tell you when there's road construction. So if you're going somewhere, and yeah, I didn't know where I was going today, so yes, I used my GPS. And you know, he was like, well, you could go this way, and it's like, could go that way, but there's construction that way. You know, we found that on the way back. It's like, oh, still construction all through there. But anyway, so 819, right? So it's like, all right, so show me 819, right? It's a little request to the universe, because I was seeing like the initials and everything everywhere, and I kept seeing a whole lot of repeating numbers too. You know, it was just like out of the blue ones. So it's like, look over and, oh, hey, there's a mailbox with 333, and then followed by like the school address with 555, and just all these little things. So 819, right? So it's like, all right, show me that one, right? And it did. On my GPS on the way home, after after my mom was done and we were going back, coming back to town, right? I looked at my app at one point and it said, it was the GPS app, and it said 38 minutes or 19 miles. So I was like, there it is, 819. There it is again. Okay, thanks, cool. So then I was thinking, okay, do it again. And this one was kind of silly, and this one did not fully register. You know, because of course I say this, and it's like, higher self, whatever you want to count it as. So I'm having this conversation, right? I says, okay, so do it again, right? And I get this, really? You know, this little conversation, really? It's like, yeah, why not? Let's do it again. So, rolling through, not paying attention. It's like, I believe in you, universe, higher self, whatever. Bring the numbers to me. And we ended up in a spot where we had to take a detour, right? And we were stopped for a while because there was just a lot of traffic. It was like a three-way intersection, and there was a lot of traffic on the side we were on. And so we're hanging out at this light, and I'm behind this SUV, and then, a voice chimes in again and says, it says, hey baby girl, paying attention? And I was like, always. And it's like, yeah, okay. So conversation in my head, y'all. But then my eyes go to the license plate on this car in front of me, and it is 8569. And as I'm thinking about it, it's like, okay, so there's my 8 and there's my 9, and it's like the ones in the middle. It's like, 5 minus 6. It's like, okay, so you brought me a math problem. That's pretty cool. But then I didn't realize until I was writing it down, like in the Twin Flame book, that I was actually writing it down, that, you know, my -1 is like basically a dash for the date even. It's like, okay, see what you did there. You know, and then going back to that, that are you paying attention piece, and always, definitely not always paying attention, you know, but like that one, that part registered when I was sitting there writing it once I got back home. So it was kind of fun. And okay, so what happened then? Okay, so, you know, we stopped and grabbed food, came back home. There was my 5s again. And I got my package. There was some shirts that I ordered off Etsy because they were super cute. And one has an alien standing on the earth, and it just says, "This place sucks." It's like, yes. So I was really excited, you know, because there's a bunch of silly things like that, right? So I pull them out of the packaging, and I know she had to like put the designs on the different, you know, because I had specific colors that I wanted for each of them based on what was available. So, and I didn't want a whole lot of the same color, so, you know, she had to go through and, well, it's probably more complicated for her than it was for me picking it out, but yeah. So I got like 8 shirts. I got a little carried away, I'm not gonna lie. But I really enjoyed them. You know, so there's that one. There's like this one that's got a skeleton hanging out on the inside of a shark's mouth, and it just says "Stay positive" as he's being eaten. I got one that says "The horrors persist, but so do I." So I was really excited about that one too. But anyway, just silly little things like that, right? So I got these shirts today, and I was really excited. And then I was like, of course, I smelled them, and it's like, yeah, like, okay. Don't be like that. Cars want to shut off. Half hours, apparently, my... I was wondering that on the trip to Oklahoma, because I would leave the car running with the dogs in it when Gracie and I would go into the gas station and whatnot. It's like, how long does it run? Half hour. Okay, good to know. So anyway, right, so got these shirts, and okay, like TeeTurtle, sometimes I will just wear them. If they happen to smell funny, then I'll wash them first, right? But not everything that I order, if it's new, I'm iffy on them if I have to wash it first. Those kind of smelled funky, so they need to be washed first. But I add them to the laundry, and there was my 819 again, because I have my hamper in the bathtub, and I got a little carried away with shopping, not gonna lie, which is really silly when I have like no income this month, and it's like, hey, how am I gonna figure this out? We're gonna figure it out one way or another, I guess. So I added this to my stack, and it's like I did all my laundry. And then I ended up going to Goodwill because I realized I didn't have any shorts to skate in, like aside from the shorts that I wear over leggings, which was part of where my stupid tan lines came in at, because all the shorts that I had were like the shorter ones that I prefer only wearing if I have like leggings on, right? So like these are longer ones, so that's not a problem, right? But that's only because I went to Walmart and found a couple that were on sale. Well, incidentally, they were on sale. That was just bonus. So I wanted some longer shorts and some workout shorts, because I realized, you know, when I lost the 50 pounds that I had, you know, gotten rid of all my 16s, because I'm not a 16 anymore, and that's like, okay, so that's why I'm not wearing shorts and letting the sun hit other parts of my legs, apparently, right? So I started this Goodwill thing, and then got a little carried away, and it's always a problem trying to get balanced out after a Goodwill run, because inevitably you can't try it on at the store anymore. So inevitably there's going to be something that has to go back. And of course they want your money. So they only give you refunds on gift cards that you have to use in the store. Okay, so whatever I took back ends up on the gift card. Then I gotta go spend the gift card in the store. Well, I still had stuff that I was looking at, and then, I ended up wandering through skirts and found some weird things. Found another, like, vinyl-y type one today. That was, I don't know. The question will be, when will I find myself wearing it? Probably more than anything. You know what? Fuck it. I might wear it tomorrow to class. Because I'm definitely going to class tomorrow. Anyway. So I had the stuff from Goodwill that after I did all my laundry, got that handled, then I went shopping at Goodwill. And then there's been like a few back and forths because, of course, I've had to take things back like 3 times now. And so I put these shirts on my hamper, so it's like up over the top of it, and I was looking at it, and it's like there's a skirt that needed to go back to Goodwill. And I just felt like, I feel like I'm supposed to do that now. Fuck it, we're gonna do it. We're not doing anything else, right? Mom's passed out. Dad's, I don't know, probably like, if my mom has something done, like with her mouth surgery thing, he's just gonna go lay in bed and like look at her and pester her and that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I just like grab the keys, fuck it, we're gonna go. Alright, so take off, right? And all is well. I go to Goodwill, I exchange the skirt, found a pair of brand new shorts that I'm hoping work because they still have tags on them from the place they came from. And then I found this other like vinyl type skirt, and it's like, alright, well, we're gonna roll. So obviously, then I'm spending a little more money, and hopefully I don't have to take this stuff back, but it's just one of those back and forths. Anyway, I buy the stuff, I leave. As I'm walking out to the car, there's A19 on the license plate again. So it was like just this random urge to go do this thing, which all became like from the stack of shirts that I just got that I want to wash before I wear them, but I really want to wear them soon, so I added them to the stack. But then I had this thing to take back to Goodwill, but then if I'm going to get anything else, then I would like to wash it too before I'm and just have the laundry out of the way so I can wear whatever the hell I have and just kind of go that way, right? So all that to take me to Goodwill at the exact time that there was an 819 in the parking lot, like almost directly across, or like behind me, across the parking lot. So cool. And there's my 3, so yeah, so it's been kind of it's not bad. I mean, I feel like I'm in a really good mood, and I kind of am, which I'm not really sure where that came from. I think mainly just talking on the video at this point, because like it was okay. So we got to the place for my mom's appointment, and I was just planning on sitting in the car, and then my dad wants to sit in the car. It's like, cool, don't really want quality time, but what the hell? Here we are. We really didn't talk. Had the car off and the windows down, and it wasn't too bad for a while. It was hot, but I mean, it didn't like really get overwhelmingly so for a little while. We turned the car on a couple times for a few minutes, and then turned it back off because it got cold. He's sitting in the back seat, and he randomly opens the door, and it's like, "Are you hot?" And he said, "Yeah, I need some airflow." It's like, okay, so we turned the car on. Worked out perfect because he had started listening to some obnoxious shit on his phone, and I had my headphones on I was trying to tune out whatever bullshit he was going to bring to the picture, right? And he just kept going louder, like I'm supposed to pay attention to it. It's like, I don't want to listen to your shit, dude. But the fun thing was, when I turned the car on, his went to Bluetooth. Because I think I have it set where theirs are like the priority over mine. Because if I'm in the car with them, I don't want my text. Well, I mean, I have it set up so my text messages don't go to the display thing. Because God knows if it's me and my brother talking and my mom hits the button thinking it's hers, she'll probably not be real happy or impressed with the conversation. So, just to avoid that, I don't let the thing have my text messages, or my contacts. Like, so when when I was going out to Oklahoma, it would only, like if we stopped for gas, it would completely erase everything, like all the recent calls. And the way out there, I was like on the phone nonstop, and usually with my brother because we were driving overnight and it was easier to stay awake while we were talking. But then, like, anytime we stop at the gas station, it's like, oh, now I gotta find his number again. Because I don't want the car having access to all my stuff. It doesn't need it. Turn the vent away from my fingers. It's starting to get a little chilly. Anyway, so my dad's phone hooked up to that. It was like, yes, it just shut his shit off. Because I was listening, like, okay, I talked about a while back that I, got these like courses on Udemy, and like I'm looking at like palmistry and reflexology kind of stuff. And there's like, apparently, I don't remember getting the Reiki one, but apparently I got a Reiki one. So it's like, that's pretty cool too. But I figured while I was sitting in the car, I go ahead and work on that, right? So I started with the palmistry one, and there was like a workbook that this lady had put online for the course. So I was trying to get to the workbook. Well, then once I got the workbook pulled up, I was like reading through, and I was like, okay, this is interesting stuff. But I got distracted with the reading. And then my dad starts listening to his bullshit. It's like, okay, so now that there's something playing over the top of it, I can't retain the information that was coming to me fine while I was reading it before, because now there's this shit talking over the top of it. Bad jokes of, ha ha ha, the atheist encountered a bear, and because the atheist didn't believe in God, blah blah blah, all that bullshit, then whatever. It's just like, yeah, it's like, you always know where it's gonna go when it's the Christian shit, right? Anyway, so since I couldn't read, I couldn't focus on my reading, I had my headphones on, but him playing his shit without headphones, like, I couldn't focus on what I was reading. So I was like, screw this, so I started watching like a White Tiger tarot reading from like a year ago. It's like, I found these 3 piles. It's like, I feel really drawn to these 3, and oh my god. I didn't even finish the 3rd one because my mom ended up being done. But one point she's talking about like basically toxic connections that need to be left in the past. It's like, oh, that's my family right there. I talked to the last video I did, I think, that I realized that while Oklahoma doesn't have a whole lot that I'm really, hey, I want to go to Oklahoma, it does have my brother and my niece and my sister-in-law out there, so there's at least, it's a foot in the door somewhere else, right? So I started talking about that, right? So then I'm thinking about, that's probably where part of my skating addiction last week came in at too, was because I don't know the pieces. I don't know how this is going to come together. I don't know how I'm going to, work it out where ideally I will have my own car. So this one's my mom's. But the others that, the ones that I drive most of the time is also theirs, right? It's a 2008. It's got the fucking check engine light on again. We had something, we took it to the shop for something, got it fixed, and when it came back, the check engine light came back on, so I figured I don't know, it's probably just something stupid that's not even important. But since the check engine light's on, I mean, it's their car anyway. I don't want to take that one. If there's anything else I would rather drive, yes. But ideally, if there was some kind of situation where I could, take my bed, not the one that I'm using in this space, but the one that's in storage, that's a good bed, that I got from Gracie. They decided they were going to buy her a new one out there. And so they gave me that one, and I was like, well, it was after I started putting things in storage, because I know at some point I'm going to be out of there. And that was the next step that I realized of things that I could do to start getting myself ready, is to make space by clearing it out of this space and putting it into the storage unit, like the stuff that I know I will want in a new space, but basically just want it out of this space right now, because their space just keeps coming in and latching on and all that fun stuff. So yeah, but that's in the storage unit. I won't need everything to go with me when I go, but the bed would be ideal. And, there are some things like my freaking tarot and oracle cards that I use regularly, and my art stuff, and my writing stuff. But I've already decided that my desk that I absolutely love and have loved since I found it for free, manifested that bitch for free, man. It is not flawless. And the last move was a little hard on it, because I forgot there was a plate connecting two pieces, and we tried to move it. It's like, oh, dang, oh, shit, okay. And it was a plate that my dad had added, to secure it a little better when he had helped me with getting it. But, yeah. Anyway, the desk and the current bed will be staying there. And there will be, some odds and ends, like my bookcases will go with me, but probably just to go into storage. So it's, so I'm trying to make lists now of the stuff that I absolutely want, non-negotiable, and have to have for leaving and being able to do the things that I know I'm supposed to be doing, like the writing, the artsy stuff, and all that fun stuff. So yeah, but it's the majority of the stuff that I will want immediately when I'm there, I'm still using. So it's not like I can really pack a whole lot of it up while I'm still using it. But I don't know. I do have more boxes and stuff. Need to start putting tape on them, because I realize there's some spider action in that freaking storage unit. Had to take out 3 wasp nests when I was there. Luckily, I went in the evening hours, and they're apparently not very active at that point in time, because I knocked them out, and then I was bracing myself, waiting for all hell to break loose, and nothing happened. So the one accidentally dropped down the crack, the side of the unit, and what I had was a curtain rod. It's that'll work. Just start stabbing that in there. The other two I knocked out of the space and stomped on them, and there's one little flicker of movement, waspy looking, but I took him out. So luckily I did not get stung by anything. But yeah, I think the big thing is I know I don't need to take everything with me, but I know that when I leave my parents' space, that I want to have it out. And preferably not have to go back to that space because, as I've said before, while I've been there, their stuff creeps in and starts trying to take over. So if I'm not there, it's still going to do that, right? So I want my stuff out of that space so it's not being taken over by their stuff. So it makes it that much harder for me to find when I do want it. So then I have no problem with leaving it in the storage unit here, but I would kind of rather have it in the storage unit closer to me. So then it's like, well, then there'd be that whole, okay, if I had something like this is the edge, or like comparable, because it's a pretty good ride for dogs in the back seat. My mom got this thing to keep it so they're back in that section and don't come all over the place, which also, that sounds really gross. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, I have seatbelts for them, so they're the two that stay in that seat will stay back there, but still, and I won't have a kid or the kid with me when I'm taking mine with me. I was thinking the other day, it's like, what about the birds, man? It's like, I got Buddha, he's like 7? At least 7. That's my cockatiel. And Bodhi, which is a little pinky bird. It's like, I thought about talking to my one aunt that took Bodhi as baby, to see if she would take her. The other day she had me really concerned, the bird, because she wasn't looking really good. I don't know if my best case scenario would be to take them with me or to rehome them. I feel like the two that I have left are the two that have been the closest bonded to me. Like Bodhi, I ended up hand feeding her for a lot of her little early days, and so anytime like she's out of the cage, she's like on my head or on my shoulder, like right next to me or something. It's like, I really feel like since I moved the office and the bedroom, they get neglected a little bit. Like, I'm still in there, but not like I was when the office was in the other space. And I think part of that was because there was more light in the other space. So then that makes me feel bad that, they're right in front of the window, but yeah, I don't know. But then, okay, so if they go with me, that's that much space. Because the cage, I have downsized the cage immensely, but then we're still looking at, okay, traveling and the end location, or however temporary it's meant to be, there'd be 5 dogs in that space again, which that's the situation we have here. But they have a basset hound and a doodle that apparently got a hold of a bunny last night. And yeah, they're more hunters than, Taz is kind of funny. I ended up leaving this one bird group that I was in on Facebook because I posted this video where the bird was in the cage, the dog was walking past the cage, and the bird was singing to it. And oh my god, the people in the group had a fucking malfunction. It was like this big ordeal that they're not supposed to be, if you have birds, you're not supposed to have anything else. It's like, y'all are stupid. You can have pets and have them be perfectly safe together. Now to see, okay, I do not have my birds out of the cage with the dogs. I don't have that scenario. I know my dogs would probably eat them, right? And I have no desire to figure that out the hard way, or the need to, try to delude myself into the thinking that they wouldn't do that, or whatever else. It's like, I know dogs will eat birds. Seen it happen a time or two. And it was really sad when we, the Shelties. They're herding dogs. They're like really gentle most of the time, but I have seen some Shelties do bad things with bunnies. And I'm not trying to take a chance on a freaking blue heeler who is nowhere near as like subdued as the Shelties. So yeah, or the Kelpie that just likes to randomly. I think there's been a couple times where there was almost a close call on something getting out when she was still in the room, and it's like, yeah. But yeah, they're really good about listening when I say leave it. That is one of the best commands this group of dogs has ever learned, and they're pros at it. So, but still, I'm not trying to have the birds out with them, which is kind of where it feels like the birds are getting a little neglected because they haven't been able to get out of the cage as much as they used to there for a while. So I don't know. So then would it be better to find them new placements? I don't know. So, like, I think it worked out really well with the baby cockatiels when I went to rehome them, because that was the biggest thing right there. Is I never should have let my mom talk me into keeping any of the babies or the clutches. Like, when any of the birds started laying eggs, okay, when I first started with birds, I tried to avoid having females in the space, period. It did not work out. And the only reason it didn't work out, okay, so I had a male budgie, and I did have a male and female lovebird at one time. Then the male died first. The female and the male budgie, they were neighbors. They were okay. But eventually the lovebird didn't make it because they do best in pairs. And then I was down to one bird, and it's like, fuck. So I decided to get him a friend. The problem was, when I got him a friend, okay, it was in the time I left my ex for the practice round, to figure out what all I needed to have in place to be able to leave seriously, right? And he was up here and hanging out with me, and when I said that's what I was going to do, he wanted to go with me, and then he wanted to pick one out. The one I picked out was a boy. The one he picked, okay, so it was at Uncle Bill's, which I'm not big on that anymore. Well, I mean, I'm not ever going to have another budgie again if I can help it. But they have like a ridiculous amount of them in a cage, right? And so there was one that was appropriately colored, the little Sare or whatever thing on their nose. There was one of the colors that he picked that it was for sure a male. That is not the one that came with us. So, which I found out when I got the two new birds home, and then there's a male and a female, and then because they came together, they, the male was like really territorial of that female, the male that came with it. So then I was back to the situation of my other male still by himself, basically, right? So I ended up getting this, there was another one at PetSmart that was really pretty, and then she was there for like 3 or 4 weeks. Every time I went, it's like, she's still there. It's like, all right, she's meant to come with me, so I got her. And Poe loved that little female, which Poe was the original. And I got her for Poe, because the other one had the other female, right? Well, then it started the ordeal with, now they both want the new female, because apparently there was no real attachment to the one that he had come with, except that he had come from the store at the same time, right? So as soon as I got the other female, then the males were back to fighting. Son of a bitch. So when I got back to Alabama, I ended up going to a bird fair and having to get one male and one female, and it did the trick, and it balanced the numbers out and got a decent split on the pairs, so every male had a female and all that shit. And for a long time, I was like, anytime anybody laid any eggs, the little eggs were getting little holes popped in them, because I was not trying to have baby birds. And then I let my mom talk me into keeping a clutch of the borks and a clutch of the cockatiels. And then, of course, I kept baby borks, and then I kept 2 of the cockatiels. And the 2 that I sold, did I make it? And that's kind of really aggravating. That is the biggest thing. That's like, as far as breeding animals, that's not something I've ever really had any interest in doing. This is largely the reason, right? Because if something happens to them, like one ended up getting loose and, flying out the door when the lady's brother came home. I think the other one died, and she was like, I just feel bad because I know what happened to them. The 2 that I kept basically made things a little bit of a nightmare for a while, because, okay, so I had Buddha, and Dharma was his female, and they got along great until we kept the babies. Kept those 2 babies, and I think Tuesday was the one that got kicked out of the nest, so Buddha never liked that one, and then it ended up being the one that I kept. So he continued to not like that one. Ducky, she's I think they're Lutino, the white with the yellow head. Buddha bonded with that one. It's like, no. And then, like, every time I turned around, like, they were like, they're fucking getting action. It's like, that is your daughter, stop it. And so, it was just, there was a lot of chaos. Eventually I rehomed the babies. That ended up being a very good thing. But then, like, it was never the same after that, like, between Buddha and Dharma even. Like, he went back to her, okay, but it's like, you're not the one that I liked. That kind of bullshit. So, yeah, the lady that got those 2, I feel pretty confident in her bird wrangling abilities. Because I had this cage that the 2 babies were in that I was planning on just sending with her. And she had brought her own little travel cage, and I met her over here at the school, and she just, like, gets in the car, shuts the door, and is like wrangling her, and just doesn't care that she's getting bit, and, puts them in the thing, gets them all switched around. Had one get loose in the truck, but it didn't end up being a problem because it was in the truck, and she caught it real quick. Because it's like, okay, enjoy. But she had 2 male cockatiels, and she had one female, and the female had recently died, so she was just down to the 2 males. So then I show up with, hey, 2 females. She was all about it, and I was all about it, because they went elsewhere. And then I eventually started downsizing the bird cages and stuff, and yeah, the babies were the tipping point, I think. It's like, I was already at the point where when the birds died off, I wasn't getting any more birds. But then those babies just drove me nuts. Not the Bork babies so much. One of them did die, and then a little bit after that, I asked my aunt if she still was interested, and she said she was, and I think she's got that one tamed more than I had his dad tamed, honestly. And his dad was fairly decent on he would sit on your finger when he was out of the cage, but I didn't ever want to go back to the cage. But I attribute that to the whole tamed part of it to the lady that he came from, because she had already worked on a lot of that stuff. but he liked hanging out with me and my music. I don't know why I'm talking about birds now. Anyway, this is one of those random as hell kind of days, I guess. Yeah, so I guess I'm going to go back home and try this stuff on and see if I have to make another good will trip, or if I'm just washing it and keep it and calling it a day, because I'd like to get my laundry done, so out of the basket and reconfigured wherever it needs to be. So yeah, I have no idea how I got started with skating, then there was like the 819 thing, and then there was like the just random shit with my parents and today's adventures, and then another today's adventures, and I went to the library again. It wasn't really an adventure, but every time I go to the library, I am like looking for like horror movies, right? Because I'm getting caught up making up for lost time, and I'm not that. Just whatever bullshit, right? And so I will Google movies. Like, okay, I watched Eli Roth's Thanksgiving the other day. It's like, oh yeah, I know that name, Eli Roth. He's cool. I like his stuff. So I looked up like different movies that he did, right? And apparently the library didn't have most of them. Had Thanksgiving, so that was interesting actually, because I think before my sister-in-law moved to Oklahoma, when they were first talking about moving, I was over at their house, hanging out with them and avoiding our parents, and this thing popped up for that movie. And I was like, ooh, I might have to watch this, and then I found it at the library, and I was all excited, and then I thought it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So that's always a happy accident. But anyway, I went to the other library. I think I was looking for Hostel was one of them, just on the Eli Roth end of things. And I accidentally remembered about the original Candyman movies. Talked about watching the Jordan Peele's Candyman. It's like I discovered that was not the first of them, but I mean I knew that it wasn't, but I never saw those until today. Then hey, I'm going to get those because I really like Jordan Peele's Candyman. I'm sure these will be good too. But then as I was going up to the checkout, it's like they have this little section by the Greenfield circulation desk where it's just I forget what they called it, but it was scary movies and weird things. I don't know. I got fly off of it. It's like I've heard of it. Why not? We'll watch it. Maybe. Or I'll just have it, in my possession for a few weeks and just watch the thing, click over, and maybe I'll remember to turn them in before I owe a fine. I owe 75 cents again. Oops. Need to pay more attention. Yeah. Anyway, I already said I was going to end it once, and this is a lot longer than I honestly thought it was going to be, so go ahead and cut it off. As always, I appreciate you. Until the next time, see ya.